I apologize in advance if that heater is noisy, but it's a whopping 35, 40 degrees in here. It's a little cold. That cold does affect running this PEX. This is very, very stiff. It's stiff normally, but this is even more so. So I expand it out for the fitting, and it takes a long time to close back up. I found actually having a little MAP gas torch, once I have it in place, just to warm it, speeds up the process. This is really basic stuff here. Hot water on the left, cold water on the right. I've got both of my hoses run here. Wow, I'm short. See, that's a problem. It happens. I'm underneath the house speeding it up through, and I think, I'm measuring out going like, well, here's a foot, and here's a foot, and well, I was mistaken in this case by 2 inches, 3? I don't know. I do want to secure this to the wall over here, and so I'm pulling it over, then bending it up, and eyeballing where I need to cut that at. And so I'm just literally just going to eyeball it. I'll add a little, probably added a ½ inch on there. So now I put it up against the wall tight, I hold it there, I still have extra. It's a handy little cutter. That's it. It's a nice squared off cut. Yeah, test fit. That'll work. That lines up real nice. You can see that hitting that shoulder. Just manipulating that has actually warmed it up quite a bit. I think we'll just try it. It's actually warm to the touch. We got our little PEX ring. And it's really tough to see, but there's just the slightest bit of an edge on one end. And what you do, you take this, push it down until it rests on that ring. That's how you know it's deep enough. I take my expander tool. This isn't the most expensive tool. It's not the cheapest tool. It just is what it is. Insert. Pull the trigger. Some of these rotate for you. This one doesn't. I just rotate it a bit. Pull it out. And while it's still expanded up, slide it on the connection. Hold it there a minute. It's tightening up. There's starting to be some sort of resistance. There it grabbed. I've got little staples that I will put, you can see here, to hold this against the wall. That just helps stabilize it. I'm going to go look and see if I have a splice. If not, I have to get a couple other fittings tomorrow anyways. And I'll just pick up a couple of splices, because I'm sure this will not be the only place that I made that mistake. I realized my cold pipe was about 2.5, 3 inches short before the washer. So I was thinking I was going to have to splice it. Then I realized that all the blue coils behind me are extra hose that's just fed through. So what I'm actually going to do is crawl underneath and adjust it under there. I'll just push another 3 or 4 inches up from this side over to this opposite wall here. I'm just going to run some tape around these to hold them together when I get them off of this out of my way, so I can get this board out of here. Now that I have the camera precariously leaned backwards against a sawhorse, let's get some of these screws out of here. There it is. First piece of sheetrock installed. We have drywall on the laundry room wall. This is, of course, the wall where the manifold for all the water will be. Water softener, water heater, water filter system, and furnace will be over here. Next step, it will be mounting our manifold. You can see it or not, there's a mark there and there where my first screws should be. And so I can kind of line set it on my mark to begin with, and we'll see how close we are there. And so next, we've got all of our hoses that will need to come up and be trimmed and set in a place all the way along. These are the fittings that go on the end here. They just screw on. They do not need any extra Teflon tape or anything because, see this, there's an O-ring there. That O-ring seats in. And so if I push this here, and then it kind of clips in. So that O-ring is what's giving us the seal. That slips in like this, and it screws onto there. This connection, this was the only, I guess, the bummer. I went with expansion fittings to keep these orifice sizes as large as possible, but these aren't available as expansion, only as crimp. And so this will slide over, and you push it all the way on, and then I'll crimp a ring around it. That's kind of a bummer. I wish it was expansion, but again, they don't make these as expansion. But the pipe that we got is both crimp and expansion, so I didn't have to change the types of pipe. So I will start getting these connected. I don't know if it really matters which, if I start hot or cold. Something else I was trying to avoid is if you go too far with this, it will kink. You can go pretty good, but of course, as you stack these up, then the next one's got to clear it to see a little further, and you just keep stepping this line out. And so I'm debating if I take a 90-degree angle support, I'd have to get more, but that would keep it a lot tighter. Pretty simple to put in. You just clip it over your hose here. You can keep it pretty close to the end. That clips over that way, feeds through here, and then clips in. it just clips in. It clips in. And that keeps it pretty tight. Now we're here. And so then if I did that, then my next line would be about here. And the next line, you'd step out by the width of the hose each time. Okay, ready to assemble. I've got the fixture. It's got the little retaining teeth on it. I've got a retaining ring on the end of the hose here. We slide that all the way in. I take that crimping tool over that retaining ring, a crimp ring. We squeeze this together until it clicks. That lets you know it's crimped enough. I always look at it real close. You can see that little mark there. That's the crimp. And we're going to take our go, no-go gauge. You can see the little lines there for each size. And we just feed that over that crimp ring. And if the little line goes past the crimp, then it's overdone. You got to cut it off and restart. This was good. It slid right to the spot and stopped. Then we tighten this in. Clip that O-ring in. Here I've got the line marked as to what it is. You get so many of these lines fed up through, you got to mark them. Otherwise, you'll lose track of what it is. So I did that to each of them. Had to be careful because it would wipe off. You can't permanently mark the PEX. I finished up the colds and moved directly into the hot lines. Second verse, same as the first. It's just rinse and repeat. A side note, I did find it was easier to work from bottom to top as you're always working around the lower lines. Check your labels so you can properly label your manifold. Remember, this is the breaker box for water. And through the magic of cinema, we now have a completed water manifold system. Note, I did not continue with the 90-degree supports. They caused more clutter than they solved. But now we're ready for electric. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.